excited. Obviously, you guys saw we were able to take Omarion in Hampton, and just a little background on him. This is a guy through the process. In the fall, the scouts identified early on as a guy they really love. Coaches got involved, same thing. A lot of love for him. Guy that we felt can impact our team, and really just a guy who's held his water throughout the entire process. And we finished our meetings on Tuesday afternoon. Actually, it was Monday with the offense. I think we finished with defense on Tuesday. But we go through all the guys, and it was unanimous. If he's there, would we take him at 22? Absolutely. So fired up to get him. Feel like we got stronger and better today, and looking forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, just echo and congratulations to Joe and the entire staff, personnel, scouts, coaches, Spanos family. It was fired up to get an outstanding football player who really loves football and can score the ball. You know, I think of some of the things I love. I mean, love the production, over 1,600 yards rushing, 39 catches out of the backfield. He gives us a real weapon there in all three downs, and the touchdowns this year and for a career. Durable, outstanding football player.
You guys have both talked about sort of identity on offense, wanting to be able to run the football effectively, efficiently, impose your will. How does Amari sort of get you closer to establishing that identity on the field, do you think?
Well, when you watch him, he's physical, he's explosive, he's tough, he's got great balance, he's got excellent speed, gets outside, finishes long runs, breaks off big gains. But when you watch him in the secondary, just lowers his shoulder and runs through tackles. But like Coach said, he also has value as a pass receiver, and so just another player to add to the stable and get after it.
Jim, just that same question.
What's the question?
Just like, the identity that you talked about as far as running the football, how does Omari sort of get you closer to that?
Yeah, I mean, I echo what Joe said. I mean, and what I said earlier. I mean, this is a player that can play on third down really well. Gives Justin somebody to throw to out of the backfield. He's also a really good pass protector. I mean, his game is just really, really well rounded. He's a bigger back. 220 pounds, but can still run in the 4.4s and like I said before, score the ball. Just so many things that he's really good at, and we're fired up to get him. Just making the team better. I felt Joe's done a tremendous job making our team better. Excited about the players that we brought in free agency, and I know it's probably not going to be grammatically correct to Hoyle here, but more better. I feel like we made the team more better tonight.
Joe, I know you guys said you guys have talked, for both of you, guys have talked about if he was there to take him. You guys took the pick down all the way to 0.
Yeah.
What took so long?
Well, so he's a guy, you as you take every player, you have to listen to offers. And we had a lot of calls coming in. We did. Multiple teams have called us, and we were talking through things. And in the end, he was the guy we were taking.
How close were you to?
Discussions were had, and, so just we listened, and we entertained some ideas, and we talked about it and had discussions with teams. But in the end, you either make a pick or you make a trade. We made the pick.
Do you see Omarion as like you guys both talked about the rushing offense you wanted to build here with Najee and Amari. Do you guys kind of see kind of the future or close to like what you pictured, the style of the backs, the offensive line you guys are building? Do you guys feel like this is coming together to build the offense you guys talked about when you came here?
And that's something that it's based on the players that you have, and that can change. That's not that there's no there's no vision that way that's set in stone. But we got to. I look at Najee and Omarion, both starters. I mean, it's like a third wide receiver. It's like a nickel back. To have those two really great players running the football and protecting it in the backfield and being able to catch passes out of the backfield. I mean, I think they're both outstanding. We're really fired up to have made our team better tonight, and then back to work tomorrow to keep making the team better.
What was Giro's reaction to getting Amari?
Very, very, very good. Very positive. Very happy. And so was so all the coaches, like Joe said. I mean, this was something that was unanimous. You try to predict what's going to happen, with each pick, and ultimately we're picking what we feel is the best player available when it comes time to have our pick. And like Joe said, it's not something that was ever split on Mr. Hampton. If he's there at 22, that's somebody that we're fired up to get. That's everybody, coaches, staff, personnel, you name it, the entire ownership, fired up.
We talked to you last year about Joe Alton and Ladd McConkey and kind of, the way picks work in conjunction with one another. It's been called a really deep running back draft. So as you evaluate Amari in the running back class this year, just kind of how he stood out and what maybe separated him from what's been called a really deep class of running backs.
Yeah, I think just one, the coach mentioned the production, 2 years of it. And really, I'll go back to last year when I was evaluating Drake May and other players at North Carolina in the fall. He stood out then. He was just this big physical runner with breakaway speed and punishing people and making guys miss. And you're just like, wow, this was a heck of a back. And just get to watch him do it again this year. 2 years of production, durability, high character, work ethic off the charts. I mean, like pride, everything about him, like the way he approaches it. That's what makes him stand out. And Coach mentioned the ability to offer not only as a receiver out of the backfield, he's a hell of a pass protector too. So it's 3 down back, really, probably a 4 down back. I mean, he's just that type of mentality, team player all the way. So just he gets checks all across the board from as a player, as a person.
Joe, you guys prepared for a bunch of different scenarios. Did the board tonight fall how you kind of expected?
Yes, for the most part. I mean, you have an idea who's going to go. Certainly, some teams trade up. Some teams pick somebody maybe you don't think they're going to pick. But in terms of like the players as they're coming off the board, I'd say we talk about it going to chalk, and but what I'll say is this: going back to what Coach said and I said about unanimous, we talk about every player, and especially hey, would you take this player in the first round? And there are players that you're going to have to take at 22 most years where some people aren't as big on taking them in the first round. So did I think Omarion was going to be there? No, because he was one of those unanimous guys, and you kind of anticipate unanimous guys being gone. But like I said, we're fired up he was there.
Personality-wise, what stood out to you about him?
What stood out the most is everything Joe talked about, and everything that all of our scouts that went into the school said about him, everything that his coaches were saying about him, current coaches, former coaches, just all the things you want to hear. And Joe talked about them, talent, effort, work ethic, durability, and the talent is pretty obvious to see, and the high football character. I mean, those things, what you see on tape, and then when those are confirmed by, what those around him on a daily basis are saying, that it checks. It makes sense.
You mentioned him playing with Drake May 2 years ago. Obviously, it's one thing to have that kind of production when you have like a top 3 quarterback playing for your offense, but he's able to sustain that production the next year when teams are going to sell out, stop him. How big was that in the evaluation?
Yeah, I think that's it's huge. Like, you know, certainly teams are going to load the box more, and I think, and this is off the top of my head, but I think he averaged almost, if not the same exact yards per carry this year.
5.9?
5.9, 5.9. So that's, I mean, more people geared up to stop him, you know, and he keeps producing. So it's really, you know, it's impressive, you know. When you got a great quarterback, you know, it opens up some lanes sometimes. And not to say that they got another good quarterback down there, but, you know, it's obviously it's not a first top 3 quarterback in this year's draft, you know. So, but yeah, what he did was definitely impressive this year.
Joe, we asked you last week about possibly getting a running back whose skill set works together with Najee or complements. How do you see Omarion working together with Najee?
I think there'll be a great 1-2 punch, you know, and you know, he's physical, he runs hard, he's fast, you know, and but he brings that same type of mentality Najee brings as a runner. Like I said last week, you know, we're looking for someone who complements but also offers the same. And you know, I've had an opportunity to watch Najee run against my teams in the past. Really, Najee's whole career, because we did it again. We played against him this year, and I think he's going to fit right into that type of physical mentality with that speed and explosiveness as well.
Yeah. And great balance. He has great balance. I mean, see people going for his legs, you know, and trying to make that sweep tackle, that cut tackle, and he's able to step through it, step over it. And back to the passing game, I mean, I think he dropped one pass.
One pass.
One pass.
Yeah.
Just very, very, you know, complete, well-rounded football player at a high level, very elite level. So, fired up.
Did you guys ever consider moving at all up? I mean, in the draft?
You consider every draft. You consider options both ways. You know, but there's players you're going to move up for, and you know, but there's also a cost associated with moving up. So, you know, we weren't overly. I would say I wasn't willing to, you know, shoot for the moon and go all, you know, make a massive jump up, because, you know, we knew there were some good players that we really valued that had a chance to be there, and Omarion got to us.
You mentioned durability. How do you just kind of weigh that it's a lot of work, back-to-back seasons, and some people view it as that's a lot of work, it's a lot of carries on this guy, versus a guy that takes a lot of carries and stays healthy through it all. And as you do your eval, just kind of talking to coaches and stuff about how they come out of that sort of workload, how does that play in, and how did that maybe play in for Amari this year?
Yeah, you look at the time missed, and he doesn't have any, you know, and then obviously we do our medical evaluations on all players, and when the doctors say he's good, and the place, you know, the school where he's playing is like, yeah, he's always there. He's there every day. You know, it's one of the coaches, you know, things he loves, Ted, right there every day, and that's what he is, you know. And so, but yeah, you know, with any player in general, you have to pay attention to, you know, time lost, you know, injuries, current injuries, what he's dealt with. But again, he's been pretty durable, and he's been pretty healthy.
The Giants and Falcons both moved back into the first round. Were those two teams that were calling you?
I'm not going to talk about the team specifically, but like I said, we had a number of calls from a number of teams.
Good. I know you kind of touched on this before, but do you guys have positions that you consider needs moving forward in the draft?
No. Like I said last week, you know, I feel like we did a really good job of building out this roster where we can take the best player on our board. And I still feel that way. If you want me to tip my hand a little bit, I probably won't take a running back in the second round, you know, if you want me to tip my hand. But you never know, you know.
Jim, Mason, Fulston, and Kenneth all went in the draft early. Just what can you say about all three of those guys?
Just awfully proud of them. Personally, and everybody at Michigan, I texted Sharon that I know he's proud, and and yeah, just you know, watching the guys, you know, Colston, he was in his home in Gooding, and you know, been in that home, and that was cool to see the whole family there, and a lot of the residents of Gooding there, and you know, to see Kenneth, you know, I think he was at his school, looked familiar that way, and you know, and Mason, you know, his parents have moved since I recruited him, so and he was at the draft, so just awful proud, you know, and yeah, it's cool.
Did you get a text from your brother saying anything about that? I know last year he told you you got a good one with Joel. Did he text you anything yet about Omarion?
Yeah,
Did it actually? You know, it's different this year because we were closer together picking, so like, he might have been more focused on what they were doing. Last year, he had plenty of time, so.
yeah,
you
he
know.
said he loved to pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, don't go to the phone. Yeah, and loved his pick too.
Yeah, they picked a good one.
Yeah, Malachi Starks, great player, and yeah, I told him the same thing. You know, great pick, great player. That there was, just to say it again, but there was a lot of really good players, and y'all have pointed out, you know it. Everybody can kind of see that, you know, who the really good players are, and when it comes time for your pick, you know, you pick the one that you think is, you know, whether it's, you say best player available, or, you know, best player available and or best player, you know, for your team. That's what everybody does. But yeah, congratulations to John. He made a great pick, and yeah, that's what he thought of our pick. He loved it.
Joe, as you look forward to tomorrow, it's kind of the sort of preview of the draft. Was, some people call it a middle class draft, that there was a lot of value in rounds 2 and 3. Just kind of, as you look at who went off the board today, just your thoughts about what's available tomorrow when you're picking at 55 and 86.
Yeah, you know, I really, you know, you put together your list for the first round, and there's a number of guys still on that list for us, and that's the type of draft it is. Like we've said, it's a deep draft that runs deep. You know, I mean, it's gonna carry through into the second and third rounds in terms of talent, and you know, there's a number of fifth-year players, you know, COVID players. You know, it's populated by players that stayed an extra year and developed and got better, and you know, I think the league's going to benefit from it. So I think you're going to see a lot of good players taken in rounds 2 and 3 tomorrow.